Well, here we are with the final video of Austen Month, and for our finale, our first movie adaptation.
Well, where to begin? This production of Emma was released in the early end of 2020 before everything went to shit. It was the last film that Dragon and Lime saw in the cinema before we shut ourselves away from society. It runs for 2 hours, so obviously, compared to the TV adaptations we've covered, the story is a lot more condensed. It stars Anya Taylor Joy as Emma Woodhouse, with Johnny Flynn as Mr. Knightley, Josh O'Connor as Mr. Elton, Callum Turner as Frank Churchill, and Mia Goth as Harriet Smith, and British darlings Miranda Hart and Bill Nighy as Miss Bates and Mr. Woodhouse. It's the most recent adaptation of Emma, and we'd say quite well known at this point. Gah! This film is already stunning. The money in this production really paid off.
I like how the film plays up the story as a comedy rather than just a straight drama, as there is humour in the book that comes from how extra the characters are. This is usually ignored in most adaptations, so it's very appreciated here. For example, the film excellently plays on the eccentricities of the rich, the over-the-top food, the want to help the poor, but not like those farmers, though, who have a decent situation in life, the silly fame for the painting. You can see the servants' exasperation at the bizarre desires and actions of them. It's also good to see lots of servants in the background for Box Hill, as they are often missing or very reduced in adaptations, and it simply would not make sense for them to not be there to serve the wealthy families for a picnic.
Side note, I also love how much presence the servants have in this production. Usually they are literally just characters with as much visibility as a lampshade, but they actually were people with expressions and movement. Love that. That moment when those two saw Knightley on the floor, backed out and shut the door was such a mood. The servants have no presence in the book at all, but I did enjoy how it went about creating the divides between the classes, and so comically too. Having to deal with the dramatics of the gentry is enough to keep anyone on their toes.
You can tell the differences in wealth looking at the characters' clothing. Emma's clothes are very fine, detailed where needed, and bright and colourful. Harriet's clothes and accessories aren't as fine or varied in colour, but over her friendship with Emma, her clothes become finer as her standards are artificially raised. Harriet has less clothes than Emma, and her red cloak is exactly the same as the other girls who stay with Mrs. Goddard.
You could say the same with the men. Mr. Knightley has very fine and fashionable clothes, and while rich, he doesn't go over the top with it. Frank Churchill's clothes are at times very elaborate. He often wears 2 waistcoats, one being embroidered, showing off his wealth. Robert Martin is clearly less rich, and while he has a nice suit and looks like a gentleman instead of just a farmer, but his clothes are not as nice. Mr. Elton, as a clergyman, has nice clothes, but they are significantly more plain, with his wealth usually displayed on his wife, likely coming from her dowry rather than his living.
The fact that the rooms were covered up is a usual fashion for the time period. I'm pretty sure landed gentry, given all the servants they acquired and their massive estates, they prioritised which rooms they actually needed and wanted.
The sudden singing in the soundtrack, non-diegetic, doesn't really work well for me. The country lyrics don't tend to link with what's going on or seem thematic, at least for me. And after a scene, a sudden belting of song is very jolting. The opera or choir singing works more as it's more vocalizing, since it hints at the upper class and being elegant and over others and just plain ridiculous.
The changing of the seasons being noted is an interesting element to add. In some sense, it tells instead of shows the changing seasons. A drop in conversation that it's Christmas is a little more subtle than to put a title saying it's winter. The titles are useful, though, for noting autumn, spring, and summer, unless you go with the obvious elements. And if you're using the obvious elements, you don't need the titles.
It felt like the film was going on forever with the season titles.
Using the opening text of the book perfectly sets up Emma as a character. Handsome, clever, rich, with barely any hardship for all her life, completely explaining why Miss Taylor leaving creates such a change for her. Though I suppose it doesn't follow show, not tell, which is important for film.
Harriet's characterization is truly spellbinding. The filmmakers definitely made an active decision to make her a better / more wholesome character. In the book, sometimes, as much as I love Austen, she comes across as nothing more than a ditz who happens to be poor. But the film gave her more of a roundness, the teenage gawk, the wide-eyedness. However, the drive to make Emma likable was, of course, at Harriet's expense.
It's set up straight away from her first scene that Harriet copies Emma. She isn't very refined off her own back. She's often found crunching food and has a giggle-inducing run. Harriet very much has a similar voice to the other Harriets I've seen, but she's the first brunette Harriet. And I mean, no offense to the actress, but Harriet is supposed to be the prettiest girl in the room, something that a lot of adaptations get wrong. Emma is handsome, not beautiful, meaning she is meant to be not as pretty as Harriet. Their beauties are very different, with Harriet being the perfection for the time. Comparing her to Emma, it is strange that she's thought to be potentially a gentleman's daughter, especially when comparing her to the other adaptations because of her quirky behaviour. More emphasis is put on her relationship with the Martins, though, which helps expand on and explain her attachment to Robert.
I really am worried that I wrote that and it still sounds like we're saying that the actress is ugly when she's not. It's just it's usually the fact that they always they keep casting it like really pretty actresses as Emma.
And that's nothing bad to say on the writing or the actresses or even the cast.
It's just in the book, Harriet is meant to be like super, super hot, and Emma's just kind of like, she's just hot. She's not super hot.
Exactly.
Oh, it's okay. They made an honestly with this adaptation. I definitely go and say like the actress like who plays Harriet is stunning and lovely and beautiful, but they made her look plain. Like
that's what we're trying to say. We're not saying it's any bad reflection on the actresses.
Oh no, it's somebody made the active choice to cast them, and all those extra like things went into like making her look that way, which was plainer, rather than. But that's 100% to make Anya Taylor-Joy's character stand out more, like 100%. Definitely, that's not a reflection on the actress at all. Like, yeah,
okay,
they're all beautiful. Everyone is literally.
Right, we'll go back on script now. I was just really worried that we didn't word it well, and that helps clear it up.
It does.
Yeah. Hooray. Elton is a lot more creepy in this version, and his money grubbing and attraction towards Emma is very clear. He's also super aggressive when Emma rejects him. Like, Jesus Christ. Mrs. Elton is very pretentious, narcissistic, and rude. She and Elton are fucking made for each other. The constant name drop of Maple Grove and her being over-trimmed and clothed with thing, but proclaiming a want for simplicity, very much reminded me of Booker, so perfection there.
Knightley seems to be often amused by everyone. He's a much softer and human character in this one, as well as appearing much younger, even though his actor is actually around the same age as Knightley in the book. While he is a moral compass and a bit of a mentor to Emma, he is also shown to be very much in love.
Mr. Woodhouse is very much a hypochondriac, as he is in the book, though is a great deal more energetic. He's meant to be, I think, a bit more frail, but it does help play up his paranoia of sickness as being very silly, as he appears the complete picture of health. Just old.
Just old. What a mood. Mr. Woodhouse is honestly one of my favourite characters in this production. Bill Nighy was spot on for that cantankerous hypochondriac who was forever looking for a draft. I enjoyed the respect he has for his daughter and Mr. Knightley. They have total neighbour goals.
Jane Fairfax is perfectly reserved, and her skills on the piano are shown to be clearly better than Emma's, with her playing more complex songs without sheet music. Miss Bates is a delight, of course.
Mother, you must sample the tart.
Miranda Hart did a wonderful job, and it's wonderful to see her perform so well in this. I love the side characters as much as I love the main. It was very well built up, and by the film's conclusion, I felt every piece had truly fallen into place.
Knightley's bum. You don't often see a male dressing scene in a period drama, and it was interesting seeing all of the layers, or lack thereof.
Knightley's ass is a national treasure. 10 out of 10. It is an intriguing choice to show this vulnerability so quick into the movie, but I'm not mad about it. I liked it. It's a great ass. That's Britain's ass. Sorry.
I gotta be honest, I was actually really surprised when I saw this when we first saw the film. It was completely unexpected. Like, I didn't expect to see that at all. It was great, but it just appeared in like the first 5 minutes of just, oh, okay, there's a bottom. This is the kind of movie we're seeing. All right.
You can clearly see elements of attraction in Emma and Knightley's first scene, with Knightley looking happy to see Emma playing the piano, and Emma constantly looking at him from the other room and darting into there to play. Later, you see joint jealousy. Knightley seems threatened by Frank and his height. Emma sees a match at one point when he and Jane perform a duet, which upsets her. Their dance at the ball focuses on them touching, getting so lost in the moment that they nearly bump into other dancers.
The resolution between Emma and Knightley over Harriet and Robert Martin seemed very sudden, as it wasn't so long ago for the audience that they were quarrelling about it. Just mentioning a time shift doesn't make it feel like time has passed.
I feel that this is the only version that portrays Isabella and John Knightley's marriage as being volatile and appearing unhappy. John is meant to be reserved, not constantly grumpy and irritable, especially not with his wife.
There's also some other discrepancies in time. The ball ends at night, but then it's the morning in the next scene when Harriet arrives after her attack. While Harriet's attack is the next event in the book, it doesn't appear to occur immediately after the ball, like the next day, with the ball ending in the early hours of the morning, as it appears to in the movie.
Knightley's proposal is quite romantic in this version, but also very comedic, with the shouting about Harriet and Robert Martin, and strange, what with the nosebleed.
Which is actually a legit nosebleed. If you see the bloopers, she actually got a nosebleed.
I thought that's because she actually can bring them on.
I'm not entirely sure how it happened, but she did get a real nosebleed.
And she's like, oh god, okay, there's just, right, put your hand there and then you can reveal it. It was funny, that.
I thought that was a thing she could do. Right, I'm gonna look it up. But keep going. I'll look it up.
Okay. Emma fully humbles herself in this version by going to Robert Martin herself to apologise for her part in Harriet refusing him, as well as telling Harriet that she can invite her father to Highbury, who is a merchant. A little bit of a social faux pas on her part, but a good thing, as Emma needed this to better herself.
I found Harriet to be needlessly haughty in this scene with Emma. I get her acting that way since she feels that she's delivering news that Emma will hate, as seen by her prior reaction to Robert's proposal before and her disliking the Coles, who are merchants, albeit rich. It's just too much and feels uncalled for, and not very Harriet, as she's not a cruel or vindictive person.
You could see Miss Bates being very hurt at Emma's words at Box Hill, as she turns her head when she's unable to be composed and keep a smile on her face. It is nice to see that in this version, Emma instantly regrets what she said, as she couldn't stop looking at Miss Bates's face and could not even agree with Mr. Weston's word game that Emma is perfection. Her words seemed more heat of the moment rather than her being doted on by Frank, and without extra time with the Bates family, her frustrations aren't as built up as it's shown she just doesn't like the chatty Miss Bates and her hounding her with news. It's good that Emma felt regret instantly with it being pushed further by Knightley's words, leaving her to go alone to visit them with a charitable basket.
Hello.
Okay,
I've returned.
Time.
Final chaos time. I love it.
I'm going to do a Harriet Smith and crunch some biscuits.
So, and then you're like, just...
Have you found out yet if she can just magically bring on nosebleeds? Because I think, watching the bloopers, it's like they had, a fake blood, but then it irritated her nose, and then she got an actual nosebleed. That's how it looked like in the bloopers.
Mm.
So I looked it up, and apparently it happened. She was in the moment that much that it just happened. So that's what I think. She was got the power. I'm afraid that literally this lady could do anything, and I'd be like, you know what? Love it. Brilliant. Well done. 10 out of 10. Would. She's just fabulous. I love her. Firstly, aggressive reaction with Mr. Elton. Do you think that was warranted?
No.
No.
No,
in
of course
all
not.
other versions, he just gets like really sad and depressive, and
But
then he
this
gets
one,
out.
He's actually really violent, just smacking on the carriage, being like,
"Stop that fucking carriage!" And she's just like, "Oh my god!" Like, he could have fucking killed her in that moment.
Yeah, it was like in that, like, of course, like, I get he was upset, but I was like, oh my gosh. I bet, like,
bit
but
much.
then at the same time, yeah, well, that made us like, it was such a like ice water, a bucket of iced water, that whole carriage ride, wasn't it? Like, of just reveal after reveal. Like, I thought it was very, like, it fitted this Elton. Like, maybe because the actor, I know him from The Crown. He plays Prince Charles.
He's really good. Like, he's
amazing actor.
He's a great actor. But in this moment, with Mr. Elton in the carriage, that violence, that volatile nature was not needed, and that's not very Mr. Elton like that we've seen before.
No, it doesn't feel completely how he is like in the book. But yeah, like, and they also do like a really big job on like you not liking him from the beginning because of how fucking creepy he is. Like,
no, yeah, agreed. Yeah, the casting was spot on. This is exactly the kind of person I would like to his whole, like, his manner was absolutely on point. It was amazing.
That fucking portrait scene was hilarious. Just like, da-da, da-da, open the thing, servants, da-da.
It's so silly. This just what we were talking about, the 2009 one being a little bit more serious, very more serious. This one is 100%. Look at these stupid people being stupid.
I think in a sense, if they did like a mix of like every single one that we've reviewed for this month, you probably would come with like the perfect one, because the 1971 is like super book accurate, almost to like its own fault. But
2009 one, it plays up more elements, and then
it tells the story really, really well. Whereas this one definitely goes, yeah, this is meant to be kind of like a Jane Austen comedy, guys. Like,
one thing I actually really like, excuse me, in this adaptation is that Emma takes the portrait of Harriet to Robert Martin.
Yeah, someone who will actually appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because she goes herself, she gives him a basket. The rolled up portrait's in the basket.
Literally. One thing I did love about this one, because in the book there is no like reconciliation, not really, between Harriet and Emma. They just kind of go their separate ways.
Yeah, I'm so glad they did that, because literally in the book, the last scene you have is like Emma being like, welcome, thank you for visiting, Mr. Martin. It's so lovely to finally meet you. I'm sure you make Harriet happy. In her head going, yeah, I'm never going to be like, we're never going to be as we were before, ever again.
Exactly.
And then they don't actually like, there's no apologizing for like Emma messing things up. Like, I think that's why you kind of found Harriet like really haughty and all that, but like,
she was, though. She was needlessly haughty. It's not very Harriet of her to act like that. That's more of something Emma would have done.
Yeah, see, that's Austen chucking her under the bus. So you remember, because like 100% it is something Emma would have done.
I get, in a sense, like her being mad with Emma because of everything that's happened,
but not acting like that. You can be angry at somebody, but not act all needlessly vindictive.
Is a merchant. Just thought you should know.
There was no call for Harriet Smith, of all people, to act like that. Harriet Smith It's
The
supposed
sweetest
to be.
cinnamon roll ever.
It's exactly. She's supposed to be sweet and kind and innocent, not a vindictive bitch.
Ooh, fight.
Which
Sorry.
is like literally what we keep calling Emma. We keep calling her a bitch. Like she's a great character to watch and like read, but she
has her moments.
Defo has a moment.
That's the moments of the class system.
Yeah.
But regardless of the class system, there are certain points when there is no call for a character to act like that. For example, Mr. Elton in the carriage. Yeah, he's angry or sad at Emma for rejecting him, but there's no need for him to lash out violently at the roof of the carriage. What did that poor carriage do to him? Then
Not the carriage.
Be witness to his embarrassment.
Then you've
Not
got
my carriages. Thank you very much.
Then you've got Harriet acting the way she did towards Emma. Yeah, okay, there needed a reconciliation there, but she could have just come a bit more humbly, being like, I met my father, he is a merchant, instead of, oh, I met my father, he's a merchant, and being all haughty about it.
Yeah, because like in the last scene that they were together, she didn't really act like that very much.
Exactly. That's what I think. That's why I don't.
She can't be haughty though, because she can be like, I met my father, he's a merchant. Emma could have well just gone, I know, he's still left.
Yeah, but I think at that point Emma just felt like too crap in a sense to like buffer, because like I think if Harriet acted like that at the start, like Emma would not have liked her.
No,
agreed.
Okay, there's one thing I definitely want to discuss. What do we all think about Isabella and John Knightley in this version?
Ooh,
their relationship seems a hell of a lot more strained.
Yeah, like they're meant to be very much in love. Like I think I prefer like how it's presented in other adaptations. Like it's funny, like watching it, but
they're not meant to be at odds like this all the time.
Yeah, like they disagree, but it's not like snappy.
Wait, was this the baby one?
Yeah, it's Emma's sister and Mr. Knightley's brother.
Oh fuck, yeah, of course, sorry. Yeah, no, I was just thinking, I was like, hang on, I'm getting really confused.
No,
I forgot that that's the brother. Those two, yeah. No, that was I think this is another classic throwing away something for comedic effect. Like
I definitely preferred them in the 2009 version because like you can see that they all get along together. They're all friendly, but that's why I was so annoyed with like John Knightley in the 2009 one, because like he could have prevented the whole carriage proposal thing, but he didn't. He went with everyone else.
Yeah.
Whereas like in this one, it's just he's just kind of dead inside. Whereas Isabella's like an even more like hammed up Mr. Woodhouse in a sense.
Oh, so much so, yeah, definitely entirely hammed up.
She's like you said in the book review, Dragon, like she's like Mr. Woodhouse, but she's not as like crazy. It's like they visit doctors and all that. She's worried about her children's health, but it's not as like over the top.
Definitely not.
And like her and her father like kind of disagree about like certain things.
Most definitely,
health and all that.
But in this one, she seems almost worse than Mr. Woodhouse, and that is saying something. Mr. Woodhouse is the biggest hypochondriac.
A draft. I feel a draft. What do you mean, Snow? Oh God, Emma, help!
But then Isabella seems worse than him.
Yeah,
more dramatic, and just
definitely.
Yeah.
So how do you live like this?
Yeah, like they are kind of like the classic thing that you see in so many like sitcoms and stuff, the unhappy married couple, and you watch it, you just go, why are these two married?
Oh yeah.
If this was like real life, they would have fucking divorced long ago.
I know.
I'm kind of sick of seeing that on like TV and all that. Like sometimes it's entertaining, but like you can watch like only so many seasons of something like that and just go, I don't like this. Why do they keep arguing? It's not that entertaining. It's actually quite sad now.
Yeah. No, I agree.
It was very sad seeing their relationship devolve to that.
Because they're clearly very much in love with how many fucking kids they have. I mean, they just had another baby.
Yeah.
They love each other a lot.
I. Yeah. No, I agree. I don't like that particular. Yeah, that was totally thrown away. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. We're getting on a bit now. I'm bloody tired. Right. Any other thoughts? We've pretty much covered everything I wanted to then, to be honest with you.
Covered everything for me as well.
Yeah, I really want to discuss those two because like they were something that really stuck out in this adaptation. Like literally, I did a Google search for the last video to look up Isabella Knightley, and like barely anything came up for it. It was actually really surprising.
Well, yeah, like that's part of why I couldn't bloody remember it.
Yeah,
it was just, yeah.
Yeah.
They were benched in this one, I'm afraid.
If you want to see a version of Emma that is likely to make you cackle, then this is certainly the one for you. The cast do a wonderful job of telling the story, remarkably well with the much shorter runtime than any we've covered this year. This version certainly has one of the best Box Hill scenes and has great chemistry between the romantic leads. It places a lot of emphasis on getting the time period right, even if the accuracy to the book is played down as the comedy is heightened.
I think there's like ups and downs with pretty much like all of these versions. Like it is a fun thing to watch all of them and see how they're different, but at times it's really difficult to like kind of say which is the best, and we can't really say that until we cover like the other like proper straight Emma adaptations, like the two 90s ones. That I think my question to like you two is, out of like what we've seen, what would you say is like the better one?
2020.
Why do you think 2020?
Knightley's ass.
Fair enough. Dragon.
I'd have to say the 2009.
And why did you say that?
The way the characters are handled a bit better, and the way certain scenes are portrayed.
And Lime, what do you say?
I mean, I lean more towards 2009 because it does get like the story and the drama of it right. But 2020, like, it's very close because it gets the story and makes it funny. Like, I feel bad for like saying, oh, like, no one wants the 1970 version. It is good. It really is. It's just, well, it's old for one, which does make it sometimes a bit difficult to watch because it's so like stiff and not as like cinematic as the others. Like it's very like painful watching the ball scene in that one because like they can't fucking fit that camera in the room. I swear, like it's so stiff and like you can barely see them dancing. Yeah, like it has its merit, that version. It really does.
No, I'll agree with you there. The 1972 one does have its merits.
But like,
still.
I think, in a sense, each version has its good bits and each version has like its downsides. Like, if you really want to have like a very nice book accurate Mr. Knightley, the 70s version, like, ooh, like, the dude, he's super like old looking, but he plays him so well. Like, oh, the confession scene, there's like a hand thing, and I'm all into that because he's just like, my dearest Emma, and then touches her hand, and I'm like, oh god. What is it about all these fucking period dramas and like focusing on the hands? I know, it's so mad.
It's because of the deep repression at the time. Like, that was so scandalous.
Yeah.
Isn't Bridgerton literally feeling anything? Goodness me.
Like, it's a thing of Bridgerton is enjoyable. Like, it is enjoyable. but it does have its issues. Like, as we highlighted in our video, like, oh god, that one plot point, they shouldn't have done it.
Shall we wrap this one up?
Yeah.
Oh, end titles. Sorry, I went
Yeah.
off one.
No, it's all right. I started it because I was like, yeah, Bridgerton. Okay, so thank you for watching and enjoying our first ever Austen month. We hope you like it. It will definitely be coming back next year, as there is a lot to cover for Austen month. I'm not sure if we're all in agreement as to what we'll be covering next year. Yell what you want.
Pride and Prejudice.
Okay, well, there you go. When it gets closer to July 2022, I'll obviously do another video announcing that we're going to be covering everyone's favourite Pride and Prejudice, where we'll scream about Mr. Knightley.
Mr. Knightley! Mr. Darcy!
How dare
you!
Mr. Darcy, I'm so sorry. We've been talking about Mr. Knightley so much.
Darcy.
Eventually, we're going to have to do like a tier list of who's the best like Austen like hero.
Oh, that's gonna be hard.
It's Mr. Darcy, mate.
Mr. Darcy.
And then Mr. Knightley. They're the best.
Oh,
no,
see,
but
no.
what about
Captain
Wentworth?
Wentworth.
Oh, Captain Wentworth. Oh.
No, I guess
there will be fights when we eventually get around to those sort of videos, because we have so many adaptations to cover first. So yeah,
we do.
Next year will be the wonderful P&P, where we'll like snort and cry with laughter at how wonderful it all is.
Sorry.
Anyway,
oh, sorry, it's time for me to go to bed in a minute. Bye, everyone. Good night.
Like and subscribe, guys. Comment your thoughts about everything that we've covered about Emma this month. Dragon, the Patreon, if you want.
If you like what we make, please consider becoming a patron and being one of our wonderful beans. If you can't subscribe regularly to our Patreon, please consider donating to our Ko-fi.
Yes, please.
And if you want saucy content, subscribe to the Lion and Dragon's new OnlyFans, which I just made for them, involving no nudity, only sarcastic comments.
And hand touching. No, don't make me think of the OnlyFans Bad Blue. Naughty.
Oh gosh. Oh, I can't help it. I'm sorry. Right. Good night, gang.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. See you soon.
Stop the recording.
Okay, you do it. Yes.